So hey everyone, welcome to another video at the Southampton Boat Show. And at the minute, this is something that's actually a little bit personal to me as well. So we're with the guys at HOBIE Kayaks. This is Chris, and me and my family actually used to work with these guys, but the one thing that never happened is I never actually got to see the kayaks out of wrapping, did I?
Yeah.
So today, Chris is going to go through with us basically what makes HOBIE and what makes their boat range so special, and all the different things that you can do with them. So, Chris?
Yeah. So starting off with the first one, which we've got here, is a HOBIE Tandem Island, which is either a solo use or double-handed use sailing kayak, for want of a better word. It's kind of a floating Swiss Army knife on the water. You can do anything and everything with it. Strip it down just so you've got a standard tandem kayak, or you can build it up with the outriggers and the sail to go sailing. One thing that separates the HOBIE products from any other different kayak on the water is the Mirage Drive. And this is what we use to actually propel ourselves along. So all of the HOBIE kayaks come with a conventional paddle, but with us, you've got the Mirage Drive. So you put your feet into the stirrups, push backwards and forwards, and that's then where you get your propulsion from. So you're always going to be pushing yourself through the water as long as your legs are moving. And that then installs into the hull of the boat, and you're ready to go on the water.
So a family has taken one of these from Norway into the Med and round to Greece.
Yeah, Copenhagen to Istanbul. So it was something like, I can't remember how many thousands of kilometres, but it was
4,000 or 5,000, something absolutely mental.
Yeah, that was Lars. We had him a few years ago over in the UK when we did one of the London boat shows, and it was amazing just to hear his story of himself, his wife and his two kids took 2 tandem islands and just did the whole journey. It was absolutely phenomenal.
Mental. And like, obviously we've done it in a small boat, but this is next level small boat adventures.
Yeah.
So okay, what else is the controls on this boat then? You can actually control it from both seats.
Correct. Yeah. So within the seat you've got your rudder at the back of the boat, but you both have your own steering. So you can steer from either console. You can raise and lower the rudder from either console, and also you can adjust your main seat from either seat as well.
Okay.
So, and also because it's a roller reefing mainsail, it doesn't matter what strength of wind you're going out in. If you go out and it's a dead wind day and there's no wind whatsoever, you use your Mirage Drive to propel you along.
Yeah.
As soon as the breeze starts coming up a little bit, you're going to want to take yourself full sail on the roller reefing. So you can bring it out all the way, and as soon as it starts increasing more, you can then reduce the sail size up to what's comfortable for that level of wind until you've got like a little handkerchief bit size just hanging out just to be able to use.
Yeah. I think as well, one of the things that I've noticed, and like me and Jade, we actually really would love to have one of these. So, but it's because you've got like a little bit of open space, and it is like it's a fun item as well. Like obviously with cruising boats, you're living on the boat, but this is like you're going out, you're having a quality day. You can have you can go snorkeling or whichever.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, there's plenty of guys out there that use these in a completely different capacities that a lot of people haven't even thought about before. So there's a great video on YouTube as well where a bunch of guys got tandem islands. They put paddle boards strapped to the outriggers, and they went off to a place called Catalina Island, and it's absolutely picturesque, and they got all their camping gear on board.
Wow.
Stay on Catalina Island and then sail back the next day, and they're being pulled along by the boat with paddle boards behind them.
Yeah.
It's amazing to do. So there's loads of people that are doing loads of different things with it, even to the extent of now putting electric motors on board as well. So you can actually have those, either one which fits much like a conventional prop straight to the back, or there's one which actually goes in place of one of the Mirage Drives as well.
Oh, wow.
So that way you can actually have it more integral to the boat rather than external.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's completely collapsible as well. So if you're going through narrow rivers or you've got to go under a bridge or something like that, it's easy to drop the mast down when you're on the boat. And also you can then just push a button and actually just fold the whole boat away so it goes completely narrow as well. So you've got all of these different things that you can do with it, just to make it easy, simple on the water to get out. So it completely is diverse.
That is incredible. I want one as well. So how much would something like this cost someone?
So for its base model at the moment is $8,650, including VAT. But then you can have added options like your trampolines, which go on the side, and a set of wheels. That would kind of be the minimum, but I know people that have bought, you know, really Gucci road trailers to go with them as well, which we do. You can do that and get that from us as well. And then there's fish finder units, there's rod holders, whatever you,
all the accessories you can go wild
exactly
with.
that, yeah.
That's incredible. Okay, so this is the first that we're going to be looking at.
Yep.
Should we move on to the next things?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, yeah.
So now we've gone from the Tandem Island. What's next?
Well, so what we've got here are a little bit more recreational based kayaks, so things without a sail, just purely the Mirage Drive on their own.
Okay.
So you've got something like the Revolution series up here, which comes in a 13 foot or an 11 foot.
Okay.
And with that, it's a little bit of a crossover from a conventional kayak in the fact that you can pedal it or paddle it quite easily. So it's still keeping that sort of long, sleek, slender, slim design. Yeah. So paddling makes it a little bit easier. Underneath it, we've got something like the Passport here, which is a little bit more of an introduction to the actual HOBIE kayaks. It's a little bit more of a budget style, where the seat is not as superior as something like we have on the rotor molds. And then underneath that, we then have the Oasis, which is a tandem version. Now, within the actual HOBIE kayak range itself, there's 10 to 15 different kayaks, so there is one there to suit everyone's needs and what they want out of a kayak.
Yeah.
But we like to get customers in and really address exactly what their needs are and what the discipline is that they're going to be looking at. And people go, yeah, I just want to travel from A to B and get there nice and efficiently and quickly. And you go, right, okay, yeah, anything will suit. Let's get you the bigger fins. And then someone might come down and go, well, actually, you know, I want to sail as well. And there is also a sail option, which is a slightly smaller, modest sail than what's on the Tandem Island. Yeah. But they can be plugged into any of the HOBIE kayaks as well.
Amazing. So is this where?
Yep. So you've got it straight into the sail mount or into the accessory mount. That just goes into there, and then you can just unroll the sail, and you can go off sailing for the day if you wish as well.
That's amazing. Doing a little bit of downwind sailing at the same time.
So, and then you've got other disciplines that lead into it as well, which are fishing, which is again one of our most popular disciplines at the moment. So with a lot of the HOBIE kayaks, they actually have track built onto the side to be able to accommodate for different types of accessories, be it fish finder units, fishing rod holders, camera mounts, anything like that can actually then fit within the tracking.
I actually didn't know that you already put the tracks on for that. Like, I knew that you could do all these things and customise your kayaks, but I didn't know that that was like, oh yeah, we're ready to have the accessories added.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, there are still a couple of kayaks within the range that don't have the track on there, which again are pretty much more limited towards the more recreational side of it. But ones that are aimed towards fishermen a little bit more have the track on there. Exactly that.
That's incredible. Yeah. Okay, so I want something that I'm mostly going to spend coastal, but I want to be able to go on a lake, and I don't want it to be too cumbersome. What sort of thing would you be recommending? So, and also I want Jade to come with me as well. Yeah,
so you've got two or three options there. So you've got something like, again, you could quite easily look at the Tandem Island, so when you're on your bigger stretches of water to sail around, you can do that, strip it back to a standard tandem kayak. Next down from there you have the Oasis, which is the yellow one on the floor here. Yeah. So that's a double seat. You've got controls front and back for lifting up the rudder, and also steering controls front and back. Okay. Next one down from that is a Compass Duo, which is a little bit shorter but a little bit wider, so you have your stability there. Yeah. Again, with that also has track similar to this built into the top deck, so you can have that fishing accessory side to it. And then there also is a 14-foot inflatable as well. Yeah. And knowing what your history is with your yacht and stuff, that may be then a little bit more accessible.
Something this size on a boat is actually quite difficult. This would have to be a separate toy.
Exactly, no doubt. And we've got loads of people in different circumstances where they go, I don't have anywhere to store it, I'm in a flat, I don't have a garage. Yeah. And you go, right, instantly at that point, you go inflatable. You're going inflatable. Or, I get the train everywhere. Inflatable, take it on the train with you. Yeah. It fits in a little wheelie bag. So there are different circumstances where rigid kayaks are going to be better over the inflatables, as in they're a lot firmer planted on the water, there's less windage effect. Yeah. But they certainly have their purposes and uses, and again, that's why the whole range is so diverse, to be able to accommodate every individual.
So with these rigid kayaks, do these have a keel as well, like similar to the Tandem, or is that just something on the Tandem? Or
it purely is just on the Tandem Island, and again, just to accommodate that huge sail which is on there.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, because of the windage.
Yeah. So with all the other kayaks, you can use the Mirage Drive fins
Yeah.
as
Oh,
your
yeah.
centerboard. So you get a little bit. So when you actually put the feet together on a Mirage Drive, the fins drop to their deepest point. So you get a little bit of lateral resistance there to accommodate then the sail and have a little bit of a pointing ability. But it's not anything like the Tandem Island, as in being able to drive you upwind. You'll get just above a beam reach, but the sail otherwise is kind of just a downwind only sort of thing. So you can pedal to the top of a river or out to sea or something like that, and then use it to come back downwind again.
One of the things that I've noticed with these as well is how easy they are to manoeuvre when you're in the water, because you can actually reverse the pedals, can't you?
Correct. Yes. Yeah, and that's something which came out from. I think it was 2017 when the 180 Mirage Drive was first introduced.
Yeah.
And there are still a couple of the kayaks within the range where you're just trying to keep the price down on it, because the 180 Drive it's got so much more going on with it. It makes it more expensive. But it is absolutely amazing in the fact that when you are pedaling along and you've worked yourself up a river somewhere and you go, oh, there's not enough space to turn around, rather than grab your paddle out, you just get hold of the reverse lever, give that a pull, flick yourself into reverse, pedal backwards, and then pull the other one to go forwards again. So
That's
it
very,
makes,
very smart.
it is. Yeah.
And is there adjustability within this for, like, obviously different people, different sizes?
Yeah, absolutely. So on normal kayaks, what you have is either the foot pads that will move up and down to accommodate, or alternatively the seat moves. When you start introducing something that the seat is moving, you're taking it out of its widest and most stable position. So the way Hobie have got around that is with these two little grey buttons which are on top. And then you've got then different numbers from 1 to 7, and all you do is once that's in the boat and fixed in, you push the button, and then you can then move the leg stems without then actually changing any of the dynamics between the seat and the drive itself. They're always going to stay in the same position, but you just lengthen it depending on what your leg ridge is always going to be.
Yeah.
So and these suit up
a good foot of adjustability.
Yeah, I mean, I'm 6'2", and I've got no problem. I'm usually on number 5 or 6, so that will accommodate then someone who's even taller.
Yeah.
And then I've got my 10-year-old daughter who can quite happily go on here with no issues, and she can reach.
So how much do these sorts of kayaks start at, and where do they kind of end?
So the introductory sort of price is all based around the Passport, so the 10.5 and the 12. All come in at just under £2,000 at the moment.
Wow.
So that purely comes down to the actual production of the hull itself. It's a cheaper way of manufacturing the hull, whereas the rotor-molded products are a little bit more complex in their build, a little bit thicker plastic. So again, that adds to the value. So with something like the Revolution here, you're looking at around about 3.6 for that. The Oasis, you're looking at around about 5.3, but it varies. But if you reasonably market around about £2,000 upwards, then you'll be able to get yourself something.
So what sort of moulding is this one then? What
So-
makes it so?
So this is thermoplast. So it's the two versions you've got is thermoplast and rotomold.
Yep.
So the rotomolded products are basically cooked in a massive oven, which then rotates around, whereas the thermoplast is a little bit more like vacuum forming in the way that it gets together. So the rotomolds are a single shell, and the ones like the Passport are actually two halves that are then glued together.
You can see the seam.
Correct. Yeah.
Just there.
Yeah. And on the other kayaks you can see a seam which runs around the edge, but that's purely where the two halves of the mould go together.
Yeah.
And then they go around and clean that up after production.
Yeah. Any more accessories that you can think of that people would add on to something like these?
Usually the basic that someone would go with is a set of wheels.
Yeah.
So because the weight of these kayaks generally are more than what an average kayak is, because you've got the Mirage Drive that weighs about 3 kilos. The seats are about 1 kilo. It all adds up to the weight. So, and normally when people go out, they want to take things with them. You know, they might have a rucksack with them or whatever it is to go out on the water with. So a set of plug-in wheels, which again they can be stored at the back of the boat.
Oh wow, so it's actually got its own place as well where it just slots in.
Exactly that, yeah. And you can plug that up through the scupper holes, wheel it along without actually then having to carry the kayak.
Yeah.
And if you're going over a distance, you don't then want to have to walk the wheels back to your car.
Yep.
So you just re-invert them in the rear scupper holes and take them out with you. And if you come off to a nice little beach somewhere, you can wheel it up and go from there, yeah.
Obviously someone that's looking as the first time into kayaks, the understanding of why is a kayak £300 and why is a kayak so much more expensive. The difference is how much more you'll get in terms of manoeuvrability, what systems they come with, and just how much things are thought out.
You know, when it goes round to the price-wise and value adding, you look at it and you go, well, what is standard on these that wouldn't be standard on a £300 kayak?
Yeah.
So you've got things like waterproof hatches, you've got rubberized mesh pockets, you've got front hatches, a mesh seat which you sit up out of the water. You know, you're not sat in a puddle of water anymore.
That's
you're
one
up
thing
off
I
the
remember.
kayak.
Yep.
Yeah, all of this stuff. You look at it and go, well, if you stripped it all back, then yeah, it's going to be like a normal kayak.
Yeah.
But all of this actually is to benefit you when you're on the water.
Yeah.
You know, they haven't just gone, oh, I'm just going to add this just because. There's always a reason behind it and actually why it's actually gone onto the product.
I think for anyone that, if you've kayaked and say if you have gone on a hire kayak or anything like that, if you've spent an hour and a half on the water in one of those like more budget-friendly kayaks in a way, you know that you won't be able to be on the water for a great amount of time, because after a while, wet bums, cold legs, cramp, you won't be out. Whereas on this, I can imagine you could actually spend a long afternoon cruising.
And at the end of the day, there is a place for everything as well.
Yeah.
So those slightly more budget kayaks, they suit the families, you know, that want to rock up down to the beach and just go, right, kids, there you go and play.
Yeah.
And they go and play. These are a little bit more dedicated for people that actually want to get the best out of their water experience and actually being on the water.
I've read stories and articles about how far people have actually gone in these boats.
Yeah.
And like, I think Sam Holmes is a HOBIE cat. Have you heard of Sam Holmes sailing? So he sailed a HOBIE cat around the Caribbean.
Yeah.
I think it was a HOBIE cat 16. So like, HOBIE's boats.
Well, that was quite usual. I mean, you go back 10, 15 years where you had like bareboat charters in the Caribbean. There was a group of guys and they had, I think it was 12 HOBIE 16s, and they would go around they would do island hopping, and they'd have a chase boat following them with all their gear on there, and they would sail from island to island.
That's incredible.
And you know, that sort of thing hasn't been lost throughout the years of the HOBIE stuff. You know, they're still always thinking, what is the best adventure we can do? What's the next step that we can go on?
That's because obviously luxury, like having a cruising boat is a lovely thing, but I actually think we're going to try and see if we can chat to you guys about setting up an adventure or something.
Oh,
you never know.
Yeah.
We'll see what we can come up with. But yeah, so that's this range, half of the range, but there's more still.
Yep, there's a lot more, and I think probably fishing's the next step to look at.
Let's go for it. Okay, so we're moving on to something that's totally different and I've never seen before. So what is this?
So this one is the HOBIE Lynx. This is one of the newer kayaks into the range. It's one of the lightest as well. It only weighs around about 20 kilos. So for a lot of guys who are spending 6-7 hours fishing on the water, it's quite easy then to lift up onto the roof of the car and disappear at the end of the day. Or alternatively, if you've got someone who's not particularly well built and is not a gym goer, again, a lighter kayak is the way to go. So with this, you still get your Mirage Drive, and again, as we sort of said earlier, fishing is one of the disciplines that people look at, and it doesn't take long to convince a fisherman who's already maybe into kayaking or being on the water to go, well, what would you prefer to have in your hand? Would you prefer to have a paddle, or would you prefer to have a fishing rod? And the answer is always going to be a fishing rod. So if you can actually fish going towards your location, it's always going to be more beneficial, and statistically you're going to catch more fish because your rod's in your hand permanently whilst your legs are actually doing all of the work. So and the only time where you might need to take a hand off the rod is when you need to steer, and that's it. Fishing wise, it's just the accessories that go on here. So a lot of them, again, of the accessories are diversible between each kayak. So whether you look at the Lynx, the Outback, the Compass, the Pro Angler, and there's a Pro Angler 360 which we haven't got here but I can tell you about in a bit as well. And all of that, they are a little bit more dedicated towards the fishing side of things, and people will just get a blank canvas boat like this and then start to add things like rod holders on the side, fish finders, then behind the seats you will get H crates, and then loads and loads of different accessories, from different mounting plates which can go on down the side of the boat as well as actually attached to the back. And all of these you can take, you know, there's guys out there who are taking 6-7 rods with them as they go out. I'm a little bit light, like to travel lighter when I go fishing, so I'll have a crate, 2 rods and a rod holder, and that's it, and then I'm out, and I can be out for 8 hours a day and be quite happy in these, that I'm not going to be uncomfortable, and if the water conditions allow and it's flat enough, I'm more than happy to stand up and actually fish from these as well. So guys that are into fly fishing where they know they're going to get a better cast while stood up, there's no problem with actually standing up on this type of product.
Is it the width and the lightness that makes them so stable? Because obviously a part of fishing is you want a stable surface to be able to fish from.
Absolutely, yeah. So generally, obviously, the stability is going to come from the width of the kayak itself. All of the HOBIE kayaks are built wider than your average kayak anyway, because you're not using your paddle as stability. So with that, it's just, the width, and everything from there on footprint and cockpit plan just changes around what style of fishing you want to do. So if you're going, right, no, I want to be a competition angler and I want to go off and I need to take as much as I can with me, including the sink, then you go, right, you'll be looking at the HOBIE Outback or the Pro Angler, and something within those range. If you go, no, I want to travel light, then you can go Compass, Lynx, Revolution, any of them you can actually fish off, and they're going to be beneficial for you, and a lot more beneficial.
So what sizes do you have going up from here, or where does it start?
So with the Lynx, this is the only one of its size, which is round about, I think it's 13 foot for the actual length of it, 20 kilos on the weight. Price wise, you're looking at 2895, so it's sort of a mid-range as in with the price. And then from there you move up to the rotor molded product. So this one still comes in at sort of like the thermoplast sort of material, which again keeps that weight down. Things like the Outback, the Compass and the Pro Angler series are the rotor molded ones. So they are a little bit heavier, but they're also with that, because they are more firmly planted on the water, the shape underneath is a lot more cathedral shape, so then they have less windage as well. So you've always got to look at, if you go, right, okay, I want to fish the rivers. You go, well, I'm not necessarily going to have any windage on the rivers, so something like this, where it's easily then to move around. If you go, right, well, I'm on a canal, I've got a portage around the locks and what have you. Again, something like this, so light, is beneficial for that. But there's no reason why you can't use anything. You know, if you've got a door, you can fish off that if you want. But the main point, again, always comes down to the Mirage Drive and leaving you hands-free to do all those things you want to do. So even if it's not fishing, and you're like, well, I'm going to go out and I'm going to take photos of wildlife, you can still be moving towards whatever it is you're taking a photo of, zooming in and actually focusing whilst getting towards it. And because you're not sloshing around with a paddle, you're not going to scare anything.
That's such an important thing when you're in the sea. Like I was just, as you said, for wildlife, I've been trying to see basking sharks off the south coast of England for so long, and we haven't been able to make it yet. We haven't been able to see one, but I can imagine coming up with something like this. There's no engine, and also paddles with the noise and things. It's just going to be so much easier getting closer to wildlife.
It's always wise to come and see someone like ourselves that can run the demos and have the kayaks there to actually be able to go, yeah, this is what I want, to go, no, that's not quite for me, let's look at something like this. And that's where you need the advice from someone like myself or one of my colleagues that can really actually drill down to what your needs and necessities are.
That's the thing, because just because something's cheaper or more expensive doesn't mean it's necessarily more pro or beginner. It's just whatever's going to suit your needs.
Absolutely.
It does not go for the cheapest one, that's the beginner entry. It's, well, what do you want to get out of it, sort of thing. So I'm guessing there's still more to see.
Yep, so the next one probably to look at is the inflatable range, in which we've got 4 here with us at the moment, which is pretty much the whole inflatable range as it stands. So now we've got the inflatables, so there's 4 in the range in total, all ranging from 9 foot, 11 foot, 14 foot, and there's another special one behind you, which we'll get onto in a moment, because that's a little bit different again. So with all of these, they use the same Mirage Drive, which is there. These are just the standard forward Mirage Drive only, not the 180. You've got your comfy seat on, your steering handle located up onto one side, which again, depending if you're right or left-handed, you can move.
You can switch that around.
Yeah, move it from side to side. Rudder comes off easily, so then when you actually fold it down into its little bag, everything goes into that bag quite easily, and you're not having to try and fight it all in there. Again, you get paddle clips to take your paddles on the side. So if we start off with the top, we've got the iTrek 9 Ultralight. So this comes in at 9 kilos. So it's, again, that hence the ultralight portion there. It's just so easy to get in and out and off the water. It comes with a stand-up paddleboard paddle as opposed to a conventional paddle. So again, you have that dual use purpose there of actually being, you know, you could buy just a conventional kayak paddle, use it as a kayak, use it as a paddleboard, use it with the Mirage Drive. Again, it's that eclectic mix of having everything in one.
Yeah.
Then moving down from there, you've got the iTrack 11. This one for us in the UK has probably been the most popular inflatable we've got so far. Again, just purely because of its length and waterline length there, it's a lot easier to drive through the water.
Yeah.
And then below that, then we have the iTrack 14 Duo, and that's the double seat, double Mirage Drive, ready to go for two.
So with accessories, is there different things you can add on to these as well, or?
There are one or two accessories which you can fit. Again, something like the H-crate, which you can sit behind you. But because of the actual material itself, you can't obviously drill or screw into it. That's not going to be warranted. But there are plates which you can actually glue to the side of the deck to then be able to fit if you wanted a rod holder on there or something like that.
Yeah.
But generally we look at trying to fit as much of the accessories and clamp them around onto the seat.
Yeah.
So again, that's where the H-crate comes in, because that's behind you, that can carry accessories. And again, there's one or two things which you can clip onto the seats as well.
And that's 9 kilo?
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I can't believe how light that is. So what is this one that's behind me?
So the Eclipse. So where a lot of people are sat down, some people still want to stand up. So this is effectively a little bit more like a paddleboard, crossed with a stepper that you might find in your gym. So your hands are up on the handlebars, and all you're doing with your feet is just pushing up and down. So it's working exactly the same way as a Mirage Drive does, but rather than having the leg stems up, they've brought them back. And also, because you're using body weight as well, the actual fins underneath are much, much larger. So you're actually, because you're using your body weight to step from side to side, it's
you can get more power through each
exactly that, yeah. And if you want, you can take this out. There's a blanking plate which goes in, so you can still use this as a paddleboard. The handlebar comes off, you set your rudder straight, and then you've got a paddleboard underneath. So again, you've got diversity within the product.
Yeah.
But this one, I mean, is great. Your legs are always there to carry you somewhere. I don't, you know, using your arms to actually get from A to B just seems really bizarre to me, you know, after being with these products for so long.
Well, yeah, we walk on our legs daily.
On
water, it's all about the arm work.
Yeah. I mean, the paddle is a paddle. The design of a paddle generally hasn't changed in 1,000 years.
Yeah.
So this is just the next evolutionary step. And actually going, no, our hips, we're upright animals now, and actually, why not use them,
If anyone wanted to try out any of the HOBIE range, where would they find you?
So we're based down in Rockley Park in Poole, so you can give us a call on 01202 671 661, or go to our website. You can ping us an email through there, and we can arrange a demo for you pretty much on anything throughout the range.
That's incredible. And you sell the HOBIE kayaks from there as well?
We do indeed, yes. So not only is it demos, but we've got the HOBIE kayaks, the HOBIE catamarans as well, so the more traditional cat sailing boats. But also we have a huge spares behind us as well. So if you do have a product and you damage something on board, generally we can get it out in the post and straight out to you as well.
And HOBIE is literally worldwide, so like you can get, even if you take all these like fun items, you take them abroad with you, you can get the spares.
Absolutely, yes.
I mean, I've seen them in Greece and like in Europe and places, so they're everywhere.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much for showing us the range. It's been amazing to catch up with you again.
No worries.
Yep, thank you.
Good to see you.
So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, hit subscribe, give it a like. If you like any of these products, give the guys at the HOBIE Centre a call and they'll be able to help you moving forward. Thank you everyone for listening and watching. Hope you enjoyed it.